guys, I am Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. Hi guys. Hi. I'm in a good mood today. I woke up, I felt kind of like funky when I woke up, right? Like I just woke, I just felt like a little off. Like just like I don't want to say like the words like what is the use, but it kind of felt like that. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but I wrote I'm going to try and breathe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's been a year. We're coming up on a year of, a pandemic. And so I often forget that when I'm feeling off, it's just like, oh, why do I feel so like not motivated and a little sad and off? And then I like think about it for a second. I'm like, well, you've been there. You're part of like, I collaborated on the pandemic, but like, there's been a pandemic now for a year. 500,000 people are dead in our country, more around the world. There's kind of an end in sight, but now I don't know about you, but it's odd. Like it was like I was being bombarded with the numbers and lockdown and how they're raising and blah, blah, blah. And like, you got to get tested and you got to stay in and you got to get that. And then the vaccine happened. And now it's like vaccine. And it's just like, you have to kind of dig for, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like getting different news sources, or maybe we just have a different administration that's not just like putting fear in our faces all the time and more like hope. I don't know, but I have no idea. I just know that I woke up and I was feeling just really off and just like kind of like, why bother? And I have a bunch of stuff that I'm doing and I'm really excited about, and I'm really scared. Like, when you're like on the right path, like this is what I've always been told. You're on the right path when your goals equal parts scare the shit out of you and excite the shit out of you, right? So like that's where I'm at. I have a bunch of stuff I'm working on that like scare the shit out of me, but I'm like super excited about, and scare the shit back into me, or excite the shit out of, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But so I like wrote out and I was just like, oh yeah, that's like, I read this tweet the other day. I don't remember who said it, but it was like, why do I feel so sad? She said a year into a pandemic, living alone in her apartment with no like, like with like our government fighting financial aid kind of being iffy sometimes. Like I am no longer able to do what I've made money with for the last decade, right? Like I can't bartend. I did try to walk yesterday. And I didn't walk too much just because before I overdid it. And then I ended up back on steroids. So I walked like a half a mile, and I was very tired and winded afterwards. So we'll see. We'll keep you updated on that. I'm doing overall fine with I mean, I'm not 100%, but I'm not like dipping back down to like 40 to or 30%. I'm like at an even 60% all the time. I am not at all where I was before I got COVID, but I'm hopeful, and there's not bad days. There's not like I had days like there was like 2 months where I just didn't get out of bed. So I keep trying to remind myself that, even though I feel now I'm in a like stagnant like plateau on my progress, but like I could be still not being able to get out of bed. Like the only thing I could eat for 2 months was soup. Like that's the only thing that I could that sounded at all okay. So I was feeling a little off today. And what I do every morning, and I suggest doing this, like, I don't know how many people, when they ask me, I get asked a lot, like, what is your like more, not a lot, but, a dozen times a week. I guess that's a lot. Like, what's your morning routine? And like, I'm a believer in having like a spiritual gym, right? All of the self-help books, gurus, coaches, 12-step programs, everyone will tell you to have like, some kind of meditation practice. And I like Jen Sincero, who's the author of all the badass books. She calls it a spiritual gym. And I like that because people go to the gym. So I'm trying to put in practice a nighttime routine. I have one, but I'm trying to get another extra thing in. But in the mornings I wake up, and I took this from the Artist Way, and I'm doing the Artist Way now. I'm on week 9. I've really been doing it. I started like mid COVID. So like I've been doing it for like 4 months. So should be done, but I had COVID. So I'm giving myself a little bit of a breather that I missed a week or two, but I'm still getting a shit ton out of it. But I did the Artist Way. I attempted to do the Artist Way for the first time, I'm going to say like 15 years ago. And I learned about the morning pages. And if you don't know what morning pages are, or The Artist Way. The Artist Way is a, oh man, I have to stop to breathe. So fun. I get really winded. By the time I set everything up in here, I'm so winded. But The Artist Way is basically, it's by Julia Cameron. You should check it out. Even if you're not an artist, check it out. It's a 12-week spiritual artist unblock, right? So if you're a writer and you're blocked, but it's so much more than that. Like she talks about in there that like lawyers do the 12-week, and it's just about like, honestly, it's just about like hanging out with your inner child and just like lightening the fuck up and like connecting to source or God or like whatever you believe in. It's connecting to that more, right? And so it's really powerful. It's really cool. And I attempted it a lot, many times over the course of like a decade. And then finally, like 8 years ago, I did it for the first time all the way through. And I honestly don't remember. I'm doing it again, and I don't remember most of the stuff I'm learning right now because I did it so much. I got all the way to week 4, like 40 times. So week 5, no, 4, doesn't matter. I got through that so many times that like I basically have week 1 through 4 pretty much memorized. But so week 5 to 9, and like 5 to 9, I'm learning so much because I only did it like once before. But that one of the things that you do in it is every morning you write when you wake up, you go to a notebook and a journal notebook, and you write. It's important that you use your hand because it's like there's like a cognitive something with your brain to your hand of like getting stuff out. It's better than typing is what I'm saying. Because I used to type it out and I never got as much out of it as I do when I'm writing. She explains why, but I can't remember. I think it's some sort of cognitive thing. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly. Who cares? But you wake up and you go straight to your journal and you write 3 pages and you just write. Like it doesn't need to be good, no grammar, no judgment, nothing. Like, and like they're boring. They're like that. That's like the point of it. It's going to be like very redundant, repetitive. I call them now, and I started doing this like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, every morning for three pages. I fall off when I have, it's interesting. I fall off when I was, the most, I'm going to say spiritually sick. When I had my most, when I was dating Jimmy the Dragon, when I was seeing the toxic guy, whoever, insert name, or, was drinking a lot and partying a lot and trying to run away from problems. Like I really fall off. And I find now I fall off. I haven't fell off in, the last, last year or two. Not too much anyway, like maybe a few days here and there, but, I find when I don't want to do it, like in the morning when I avoid it, it's because I'm avoiding something that I don't want to talk about. Because 100% of the time, if I take it to in my morning pages, I call them letters to God once again. But if I take it to the pages, I find a solution. Like I find a relief or a solution. And I'm not as rigid about the three pages because I was doing the Artist Way with my cousin. And he was like, God, sometimes I have a hard time getting to 3 pages. And I'm like, I've been doing them for so long that I automatically kind of go to 3 or 4 pages, but I never count. Like I just, because sometimes I'll write for like 14 pages. Last week I'll talk about that. I was working through a trigger. It sucked, but I was working through a trigger. So I like wrote out like 14 pages. And then some days I write like 2 or 3 and it's just not, and then I do my affirmations. And then I read a couple of my literature from my 12-step program. And now I've always been like, well, that's my meditation, right? Whew, had to breathe. That's my meditation, but I decided I'm going to try and do a meditation every morning. I think I'm going to start doing it at night too. It's like 5 minutes, right? Like just start with 5 minutes because I hear that it can just be like completely, like I read that like say your brain is a bar, like a loud bar. Mine is a very loud bar. It's very loud in here. It's just there's a lot of committee members that are yelling at all times, and quieting that will get you closer to connection with, whatever your higher power is or whatever you believe in. But so I would recommend, I don't even know why I started telling you that. I don't know. Oh yes. Because I felt really I just felt really off this morning, and not like bad, but just kind of like, I'd rather know what my feeling is. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather wake up and know that I feel shitty. Like, oh, I feel sad today because of X, Y, and Z, or oh, I feel angry because of X, Y, Z. But when I wake up and I feel blank and I just like that freaks me out because if you've struggled with depression, you know that that's pretty much, in my experience, that's how I felt all the time when I was at my peak, wanting to hurt myself. I wasn't sad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't, any of that. I was just empty. And it's not, it's a dark place to be. It's I don't want to speak for other people who deal with depression, but like that is what it is for me. And that's much scarier than when I'm sad or when I'm really angry, because the emptiness is the part where it's like, well, what does it matter? And I woke up with a little bit of that this morning. And the gift is I used to lay in that and then, walk straight from my bed to my couch and turn on the TV and just disassociate for 12 hours. Yeah, like the whole day. Like I would watch like a whole 12 hours of television. And then before I knew it, it was dark out. And it was just like, oh, I don't remember today. Well, I'll do better tomorrow. And then I'd get off my couch and, I wouldn't wash my face, pick up any of that, and I'd eaten, shit all day. You still have to eat, even if you're just like laying and disassociating on the couch. And then I would just leave whatever fucking, gross crap I was eating, or if I'd ordered in from Taco Bell, just whatever. And then I go to bed, usually not taking off my makeup or brushing my teeth or any of that stuff, because it was just like, what does it fucking matter? And each night I'd go to bed promising myself I would do better tomorrow. But I would wake up empty again, and I would do my commitments that I had to do. And if people wanted to hang out, I'd go out, but I'd get really, really drunk. And it was all just disassociating. Like it wasn't like I look back on all those days and the times, and some of them have even been as recent as in the last year. I don't have them as many as, I don't have, they're much fewer and far between, but I have mental illness, and if you struggle with it, you're not alone. And if any of this resonates, I send my love out to you. I've been there, and yeah, and that would be, and then you'd go out and then you'd get drunk and you'd feel even worse the next day. And so just be another couch day. And then, before you know it, lots of time had passed. And then you got the shame, and you're still empty. And so the gift is I woke up today feeling a little bit of that, but I took to my pages and I wrote it out, and it was just like, oh, you feel this way because there's a pandemic and a lot of people have died, and there's a lot of people who still don't believe it's real. People that don't take it seriously, and it's okay to just be easy on yourself. God, this breathing thing's a nightmare. I just can't take a full breath, right? I would say this every week. One day we might be able to, but so I'm fine. I don't. If you were hearing this and you're like, oh my God, is she? I'm not back at that place at all. What the thing is what I've found. The trick is to do these things when you're feeling good, right? That's what saved me on days like that's what saves me on days like today. Like I had this it's always like I had this problem when I was in Al-Anon years ago, right? I was at Al-Anon's a 12-step program for friends and family of alcoholics. If you are in that position, if you have a friend or family member that is an alcoholic, I highly recommend going to Al-Anon. It saved my life. ACA is really, it gets down and it heals it heals the childhood trauma. But if you have an active alcoholic in your life, I really recommend Al-Anon. But when I was in Al-Anon, I would only go when I felt really, really bad, like at the brink of like I'm going to do something. I got to get to a meeting. And there'd be relief. And then I'd go for a while, and then I started to feel better. Fuck, guys, I guess I can't walk. I guess I'm going to have a fucking breakdown. Are you kidding me? Like, I can't breathe. I had to pause it. If you notice, there was like a dip in the thing. I had to pause it and walk around for a minute. Fuck me. So annoying. It's just like how, and that's the other thing. Of course I woke up a little bit like, oh, whatever, but so I would go to Al-Anon for a while, and then I would start to feel better, as it does when you start to do, when you start to do your spiritual gym shit, just like when you start to go to the gym, the regular gym, I'd start to feel better. And slowly I would drop off, and I slowly would stop going to Al-Anon. And then, slowly my shit would come back. And then and it's so, it's so quick, but so subtle. So it's like you don't even notice until one day you're back laying on the couch for days in a row, unless you have to go to work. And so I find the trick is to do these things when you feel good, because I do them now that I feel good. So when days like today, I don't feel good, it's a habit. So like, I don't feel good today. I'm actually, it's funny. I'm fine now, but I woke up feeling not good, and it's okay. That's fine. Like it's funny. Like I was reading about positive toxicity, toxic positivity. Doesn't matter, I guess, however you say it, but it is so true. Like, those people when you're like, oh, I feel bad. And they're like, oh, but you have a roof over your head and you have all these things to be grateful for. And it's just like, yeah, I do. But it's okay to not feel okay sometimes. It's okay to be, I feel bad. And you telling me why I shouldn't feel bad is minimizing my feelings to make you more comfortable, because you're uncomfortable with me feeling bad. And so it's just, so it's okay. I don't feel okay. I didn't feel okay when I woke up today. I did my shit that I do that makes me feel good. And I'm actually in a good mood now. The breathing thing is pissing me off, but that's a thing that I've sort of gotten used to, unfortunately, in this last 4 months. But yeah, it's, and I also do a thing. I have family and friends that are like, you put on makeup every day, you get fully ready every day. And I was talking to my cousin the other night, and I was like, and we were talking about that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I do. I have depression. And if I just roll out of bed and go lay on the couch with my pajamas, I won't do anything. I will lay in bed for 4 days. That is sadly, my brain's broken. Not sadly. I think I have a beautiful fucking brain. My brain works wonderfully. It has, some sad stuff to it. It has a little bit of, yeah, it's sad sometimes. Not sad, empty. I don't know. That's, I just don't need messages that are like, are you going to be okay? I'm fine. Like, and that's what most of this is about. I'm fine. And like, because these things are habit, these things that I do to take care of myself are a habit. When I woke up this morning feeling shitty, I did all of them anyway. And now it's like, 4 hours after I've woken up, and I'm feeling good again. So I don't know. That's a tip. I don't know why I say that. That's a tip. I do actually know why I say I don't know. And I think a lot. I had an old sponsor. I would say, I think this, or I don't know what to do. And she would go, it's funny. Every time you say, I don't know what to do, you follow it by something that you should do. And that you like, and she goes, and most of the time it's a better option than what I thought. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess and it's just because I grew up in an environment where I was told my feelings were incorrect most of the time. My perceptions were incorrect most of the time. And if I did feel anything or think anything, yeah, I was told I was wrong most of the time. So now my brain thinks, I don't know if I can do this today, guys. This breathing is really bad. Fuck. So I guess the walking is out, huh? I guess we tried. We'll try in another couple of weeks, I guess. It sucks. Just wear a mask. Wear a fucking mask. Even if you're in Texas, that shit's wild, right? So the other stuff I do at night, my spiritual gym, which isn't really I write a gratitude list. I think I'm going to bring the gratitude list to the morning and meditate at night before I go to bed. Meditate both morning and evening. I don't know. I'm toying around with stuff. Now that I got a good base going on my routines, I'm going to add a couple of things I've always wanted to try. Fuck, dude, this sucks. This really sucks. I'm sorry. Most of this podcast is going to be me being like, I can't breathe. On a couple of fun lighter notes, I was out in the world a couple of week ago. So mom jeans are a thing, huh? That is what Gen Z, I guess I don't know if they call themselves. I don't know who names the generations, but there's the breath. But I was out and I was walking around, like kids are wearing mom jeans. That's like, we're going with that. That's the thing that we're all going with. I have a friend that is a male person person. Not like he delivers mail, but he's a boy. I don't know why I said that's so weird. He wears mom jeans and always has. And I think he's like rather sensitive about it. So it's taken all I have not to tweet, "This is your time to shine." I think I'm going to. I don't know if I think he's a comedian, so he's probably going to find it funny. I don't know, but it's so funny. I have a couple of girlfriends who are like a little worried about what Gen Z thinks. Like they're like, well, Gen Z says this and Gen Z says that. And I'm like, teenagers didn't think I was cool when I was a teenager. Why would I care if teenagers think I'm cool now? Right? Like teenagers are idiots too. Teenagers are stupid. And like 20-year-olds, I was an idiot when I was 20. Like 20-year-olds are idiots. And if you're a 20-year-old and you're like, fuck you, Kim, believe me, I would have said the same thing when I was 20. And now that I'm almost 40, I'm like, yeah, that's part of being 20, right? You're supposed to be an idiot because you're supposed to be learning and like I hope you're out there taking risks and doing crazy shit. But like, why would the side part, people are very concerned about their side part. Just like, if anything, if you listen to this podcast and if there's anything I have passed along or tried to like shown you or teach you, I don't know if I'm teaching anybody anything. I don't want to sound like I'm not like, who the fuck am I? But is do whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to wear mom jeans, wear your mom jeans. If you don't want to wear mom jeans, don't. If your part is side part it on the side. Like, why we give these kids this power? Like, I don't know. I just have a group of girlfriends who are like, I don't know, Gen Z says this and Gen Z says that. And like, we don't want to do this anymore because apparently according to Gen Z. And I'm like, what? Who cares? What? I don't know. I've never been a cool person. So maybe that's part of it. Another interesting, exciting thing for all of you, according to the QAnon world. Yeah. Left turn, mom jeans, Gen Z, QAnon. Oh no, I don't. I thought I was going to throw up. That would be very funny for the video if I just puked. What is happening? I'm going to lay down after this. Don't worry. Fuck, I'm definitely going to lay down after this. I've been doing this for 20 minutes and I'm like fucking winded. This blows, dude. So QAnon believe that tomorrow, March 4th, Donald Trump is going to be re-inaugurated and Biden is going to be arrested. Some of them believe that Biden has already been arrested and who we know as our president now is an imposter, like they did sort of a face-off situation, which, you know, I don't want this to be true, but like, what fun would it be? Like, what a time. Like, it's already like, what a time to be alive, but like, what a time to be alive if all of a sudden Trump comes out and is like, surprise, and Biden, like whoever Biden is, like takes off his mask and it's like, Biden's been in jail. Like, what? Like, what? I mean, I believe in some bizarre things. Some of you know that I believe that Billy Shears actually is Paul McCartney and Paul McCartney died in 1966. I believe that 97%, like 3%. If someone were to tell me like, yo, that's not real, like, and there was like DNA, like, have they ever done a DNA test? I actually don't know that, but I'm pretty positive. I don't think Paul McCartney, and once again, Paul McCartney number 2 has been Paul McCartney longer than regular Paul. Like, first Paul McCartney was Paul McCartney. So technically he's this guy we know as Paul McCartney is Paul McCartney because Billy Shears has been Paul McCartney for 40 some odd years, longer, 60 years. Whoa, that's wild. What? 66? Oh my God. Does anybody else think that 1999 was like 10 years ago still? Fuck, I can't breathe. Jesus. So yeah, they believe that. Just like I believe in some bizarre shit. I just can't wrap my head around the people that think that Trump is going to get re-inaugurated tomorrow. They all thought it was January 20th and then that didn't happen. So instead of just being like, oh, maybe we were wrong, they doubled down and picked a new date and that Anderson Cooper eats babies or drinks their blood. I'm a little hairy about that. Fuck, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to just... I know I don't have to. I get emails and DMs from you guys that are like, don't apologize for not being able to breathe. I guess this is I wish more people would listen to this part of COVID. I got COVID 4 months ago, and I'm sitting here doing nothing. I walked on no hills yesterday. It was like, it was maybe like a tiny hill. So like, but pretty even ground for 30 minutes. A half a mile. That's not that quick. That's a pretty slow pace in a very small like amount of like a very small mileage. It's just not that, that's not long. And today I'm fucking paying for it. And it's really, really frustrating. It's just really, I don't know how to describe it. And a friend of mine got the vaccine and she was exhausted, tired. We were talking, like, she was just like, man, I just need to like sleep for like a week. And I was like, yeah, dude, I hear you. And she goes, that's been you for 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's why I understand where you feel. Like, I'm sorry you're going through that. I'm glad it'll last 2 days and then you just won't get COVID. That's really rad. I'm really happy. I don't want her to get, I don't want anybody I love to get COVID, but we don't hear this side of it that often. And this sucks, dude. This fucking sucks. So I have a really big fear. I wanted to talk about this a couple of weeks ago. I wrote it down and I keep forgetting to say it. So one of my biggest fears, one of my biggest like irrational fears is having bad breath. Hear me out. And we haven't had to deal with people with bad breath for like a year now, but remember when you would know that person? Like, I worked with this girl who had the worst breath all the time, like so bad. I mean, just so, so bad. And she was so pretty and so cute and so nice, but so bad. I mean, not even like she smoked. So it was like smoker's breath on top of like bad breath. So it was like a weird little cocktail. And she had nobody in her life to tell her, yo, man, what's going on? You should go to a doctor. There's a woman that I know that I used to work with, not in the bar world, professionally, career-wise. And she is a makeup artist. And she has really bad breath. I'm not using names here because it's kind of mean. I'm not trying to be mean, but like my buddy knows her, and my buddy was with us one time, and I asked him, I was like, hey, do you notice that her breath? He goes, yeah, I do. And I was like, what? Like, how? And she's like a really like a serious boyfriend. It's like, is he just used to it, or does he not love her enough to be like it's like bad enough where it's like, you probably need to go to a doctor. Like, if your breath is like chronically, and I'm terrified I'm that person. I'm terrified I'm that person that like, that I just have bad breath and I just go around in my life and like no one has ever said anything. Like when I was in that's not true. 4th grade, 5th grade, doesn't matter. 5th grade, we'll call it. My friend Julie Garego and I were sitting outside, and we were like, we're scared of having bad breath. Like, we had learned recently that someone could have bad breath and people could smell. Like, the day I found out that human beings could smell was a day that my whole life changed forever. Like a new fear popped in forever. I'm terrified of me smelling, my apartment smelling, my breath smelling, my car smelling, anything that has to do with me. I'm afraid of it being a bad smell. I know I don't, mostly because I get complimented on my smell so often, but it's because I'm just really conscientious about it. So one time, Julie and I were in 5th grade. Yeah, I don't know why it matters how old we were. So, but we're, elementary school. We're talking about bad breath. So then we're like, all right, well, I would tell you if you had bad breath. Well, I would tell you too. Well, I would tell you. And so we are like, all right, well, let's smell each other's breath. So I smell hers and it doesn't smell like anything. It doesn't smell like anything at all. And I'm like, oh, it just smells like air. Like, it doesn't smell. And she's like, all right, now let me smell yours. And then I blow into her mouth and she's like, it doesn't smell bad, but it smells like milk. Julie ruined my life that day. Julie ruined my life that day. She ruined my life. Like, I was like, what? And she was like, well, it's just milk. It's not like bad sour milk. It just smells. And like, I drank a lot of milk as a kid. So now like my adult brain knows like, yeah, that tracks. Like, I probably just had a glass of milk. Like, I drank a lot of milk as a kid, which is gross, but kind of cool now. Cause like I have really, really strong nails, hair, teeth, and bones. So like all like, I know some people are like, that doesn't blah, blah, blah. But like I got a lot of calcium as a kid. I don't drink milk now, but I got a lot of calcium as a kid. But that bitch ruined my life that day. Now I'm so, or maybe helped it. Maybe she helped it, because for the rest of my life, I am terrified of having bad breath. Terrified. And I was talking to my buddy who knows this makeup artist friend, and I was like, how has her boyfriend not said anything? And we both kind of agreed that like, oh, probably he's probably just used to it, right? It's probably just like, because you get used, like I lived in Greeley, Colorado, which is a small cow town outside of Denver for a couple of years, and it had a meat packing plant. And I think I've told you guys about this before. You get used to the smell. Like when you're in the smell for a long time, you get used to it. So that's terrifying. That is a terrifying flaw in the human design. Like the human body is designed to get used to a bad smell, which I guess is great if you're like in war, or you're in a horrible situation where you're chained to a wall with a bunch of dead bodies around for a couple of months, like an extreme situation. Well, I don't know why I went there, Jesus. But like, like an extreme situation, survival mode. I get it. I get if your body is like, oh, I'm in survival mode, I'm going to get used to this terrible smell. But like, just in general. So you're telling me that if like I smell bad, I won't know because I'm used to it. Oh God. So I was like, yeah, he's probably right. They're probably just used to it. Their whole apartment smells like her breath. And so I was like, please do me a favor. If I ever have that bad breath, please tell me. He promised he would, but I don't know. He's really, really nice. And I was like, well, and I did say that. I was like, I doubt you'll tell me. You're too nice. How would you tell me? And then he said, I would probably start asking you about your health. Because that's the other thing. If you do have like chronically halitosis or chronic bad breath, you have a health problem. Like you're eating something that's not mixing with your body chemistry, right? So like, but I am terrified of having bad breath. And then I read this tweet about this guy who was on Law and Order SVU, and he had a scene with Ice-T. Yeah, Ice-T. And I was like, fuck, did I Cube and T? I wonder who came first, Ice Cube or Ice-T. It doesn't matter, but I'm just wondering if like Ice-T came first and then Ice Cube came out, and Ice-T was like, what the fuck? I'm the Ice-T. And he's Ice-T, not Iced Tea. You probably know that, but I didn't know iced, the drink was iced tea. I thought it was iced tea until like 2 years ago. And it blew my fucking mind. But so this guy did this Law and Order SVU episode. I just want to say thank you. Every time I breathe, I just want to like thank the universe. Oh, that felt so good. I can't even tell you. You don't understand how good a deep breath feels until you can't do it very often. But so he's working with Ice-T, and he had a couple scenes with him, and he said he had the worst breath every time that he had ever smelled in his life. And he says he thinks about it once a week. I think about that. Now I think about it once a week. Terrified of having bad breath. Terrified. So I'm getting to know a person. I'm still not sure what to call it, but he is wonderful, and I'm excited and I'm happy, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And I've been kind of talking about it for the last, God, it's been 2 months now. Jesus, it's been 2 months. That's wild. What's even more wild is I was having I don't think I know he doesn't listen to this because I can see what part who listens. Like I can see what parts of country is downloaded, and he doesn't live in LA yet. But and I think we sort of talked about like not listening to this just because I'm like, I say a lot of really private, personal stuff on there. And it's not that I don't want him to know about all this stuff, but I would rather be the one to tell him, like I have a lot of people who listen to this and think they know me. And you guys know me very well, like, because I am so candid on this. My kitten is yelling in the background again. You can't hear her at all, but it drives me crazy. I'm having a bizarre day. My brain is much, just ping pong and the breathing, and I'm gonna lay down after this. But yeah, I have people like who like think they know me really, really well just because of my comedy or my art. Well, you said this on stage. It's like, well, yeah, I'm a comedian. Of course I don't shit my pants all the time. I mean, like I sometimes wish I did because it's so funny. But like, so we kind of had to talk about how there's a lot of stuff from my past and my childhood that I'm nervous about telling him just because, it's really intimate. It's really scary. And so I'm always scared he's going to be listening to this, but I think we've sort of been like, maybe wait to listen until, we get to know each other more. But and if he does, hi, there was some stuff. Okay. So there was some stuff that was going on that he wasn't as available to me as I want him to be. And old Kim, I want to just share some like recovery is what they call it in ACA and 12-step, but like some growth, the regular bear, the average bear calls it growth. And 12 steps, we call it recovery. And it's all the same thing. You know what I mean? Like the 12-step movement's not for everybody, but like therapy isn't, you know what I mean? So just like, but we call it recovery. And so some recovery is he was not showing up for me in ways that I wanted him to. And it was really starting to hurt my feelings, and it was really starting to make me feel neglected. Now, old Kim would have just said, oh, well, that's what I deserve. Not consciously, but subconsciously, like, oh, that's what I deserve. So I will just, I guess I'll just not say anything. And then I would get a resentment, and then I get sadder and sadder. And then, and of course the relationship would, would suffer because that's one person's not saying how they're feeling. Right. And so that a lot of times it would end that way. And it would just be like, oh, well, I never said, I just never, this sounds crazy. In a relationship, I have never expressed my needs or when I am unhappy until it's to the point where we're like drunkenly fighting or like it's over and it's like, well, fuck him anyway. You know what I mean? In a relationship, I've never healthily expressed my needs. That is so, I don't want to use the word embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed by it. When I knew better, I did better, but that is wild for me to know, like wild for me to be like, I'm this many years old. And so he wasn't, and so I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. I haven't been really happy about us for, a little bit. And and like he showed up and like I expressed my needs. Oh my God, it fucking sucked. It sucked. It was so hard. And thankfully he knows me well and he knows my stuff. And I was able to be like, I'm really uncomfortable with expressing how I feel. So he's shown up. It's just like it's wild. I've never gotten to know someone. I don't want to label it at all. Like I like it where it's at. Like I have a good friend who's like, well, what about this? What about that? And I'm like, yeah, I like where it's at right now. I wanted to go slow. I wanted to go crazy slow because I've never gone slow. It's always like, all right, let's have a whirlwind romance. Now you're my boyfriend. I met your parents. We're in love. Should we move in together? Oh my God, we're going to get married. We're so in love. We're so in love. And then it dies. And then, because that's not real, like it's all like Jimmy the Dragon was like a whirlwind. Ooh, I just went too close to the microphone. A whirlwind romance that, I mean, yeah, it was, you heard a lot about it, but there was love in there. And I know the breakup story is awful, and Jimmy the Dragon does have a lot of faults is a nice way to put it. But it was a whirlwind romance, and I was in love as much as I could have been, like as much as I had the capacity to love someone, I loved him. And so it's so wonderful to be getting to know someone slowly and to be expressing my needs, my wants, how I feel, and having that be reciprocated. I mean, I think I talked about this last week where it's like you can't set a boundary with an unhealthy, like you can't express a need or set a boundary with an unhealthy person, because when you do they take it as a personal criticism or a threat. And I know this because I was an unhealthy person. And if someone set a boundary with me, I took it as a personal criticism and a threat. Now people set boundaries with me and I respect them because I am healthier, right? Oh man. I speaking of Jimmy the Dragon, his dad died. Who am I kidding? I saw him on Facebook. I can lie to you guys. Something reminded me of him and I checked in on him. We all check in on our ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends. I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress. I checked in on him just to see what he was up to. Like I said, like even though it was a very unhealthy relationship and it was short-lived, it was, I believe we loved each other as much as we could. Neither one of us had the capacity to have like healthy real love, right? But I believe we loved each other. And so every now and then, someone cared about you, check in on, especially if they're, a cocaine addict who has a lot of mental issues. So I checked in on him, and his dad died a couple of weeks ago. And God, his dad was, which is so sad. His dad was, I mean, it's sad anyway, but his dad was just such a sweet guy. Like his dad was so sweet. I told you when we all slept in that big bed together, how he made me coffee every morning. So fucking weird, but just such a sweet guy, just like a small town man. It's so sad. I almost reached out to Jimmy, but then, better judgment came in and was like, you don't need to do that. He's got people in his life. He probably has a girl in his life that you don't need. Like, don't walk into the fire. You can send love in your heart. Like I send him love. But that night I had a dream. This is what's wild. So like I have not drank in 4 months. Is it 4 months? November, December, and October, January, February. Yeah. So 4 months, it'll be five. March will make five if I, mostly because obviously COVID. I mean, I wasn't really drinking that much prior to getting COVID. But like a whiskey tasting, Zoom party, here and there, but I haven't, and I'm not going to until I'm 100% for like 2 weeks, right? Not even a glass of wine because my health is too important. But I find when I don't drink, I get more connected, which is also interesting, which like connected to source in the universe, which makes me like, I think this might be a permanent thing just because the growth and spiritual like connectedness I have since, and it might also be the COVID stuff because COVID was really scary and I didn't almost die, but it was, on the table. You get the virus that's on the table. And so I have these like crazy vivid dreams and I'm doing a lot of inner child work, and I'll talk about inner child work another day if you don't know what that is. But I had this dream that Jimmy came back and convinced me to be with him again. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I the whole time I was like, I don't feel like this is a good idea. Like it felt wrong, but I didn't want to hurt him because I'm such a people pleaser. And I guess in my dream, it was like, well, I don't want to hurt him. So I got rid of my rent controlled, beautiful apartment that I love. And I moved in with him into this mansion. What's wild is I've been dreaming about this mansion for the last like month. There's just been different. So I just feel like there's got to be something that on another plane that something's trying to tell me. I know this sounds very like witchy and voodoo, ooh. I don't know why that's funny. It is. But I wonder what this man, because there's ghosts, it's dark, it's like it's a lot of rooms. But so Jimmy lives in this this mansion, and I move in and his parents live there. And then there's like no intimacy, no sex, no love, no nothing. Jimmy's just now going out all the time. And all of a sudden I'm stuck taking care of this baby I didn't know that he had. And his parents were like, yeah, that's why I wanted you to move in, is so we could go out all the time. He doesn't love you. He just wants you to take care of this baby. And then I was like, in the dream, even I was like, what? So I left the baby and I left Jimmy and I called my landlord and then spent the rest of the dream like trying to get my apartment back. And then Jimmy tried to get me back. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to take care of your baby. And he's like, no, I love you. Wild dream, right? But the next day I couldn't shake it. I have these dreams where I can't shake it. That was the dream I had about my current friend. I don't know what to call him. My current friend, my friend. And I couldn't shake it. And then I heard from him, right? So Jimmy's been blocked on phone calls, almost everything for years. So I won't hear from him, but I couldn't shake it all day and I couldn't figure it out. And my new friend is about to move here, right? He lives in another state and he's about to move here, which is so fucking exciting and so fucking scary and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just trying to stay out of the wreckage of the future. Just like don't future trip, like trying to future trip, you make up the worst possible case scenario, or even the like dumb. I'm like, just fucking stay right here in this moment. Just stay here, breathe through it as best you can, Karlsky, because you can't breathe right now. But I couldn't shake the dream all day and I couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, oh, my inner kid is, I'm on the brink of possibly starting a new relationship. And my inner kid is scared I'm going to abandon her again. Because when I get into relationships, I abandon myself fully, right? And that's why I stopped dating until I could heal myself. And now I feel healed. I'm aware of my patterns. I've done all the work behind it, and now it's about to be like the test. All right, are we going to abandon ourselves? And I like sat quietly and meditated with that and was just like, I'm not going to abandon you. I'm just not going to abandon you. No matter what. We don't know if this guy is the guy. Who knows? He could come here and it'd be terrible. He could come here and be wonderful. He could come here and be just like only okay, right? But it's just wild. And I'm loving the connectedness that I'm feeling with source. I feel like this episode has been very, well, I can't breathe, guys. I'm doing my best. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I didn't lose my train of thought. I just wanted to take a breath. Oh, I did it. Oh, take a deep breath with me. Yeah, so just working through, and I worked through an ex-boyfriend trigger last week too. And what I said I was going to talk about working through triggers. If you, what that is if you have an overreaction to something, there's probably something that it like an old thing that happened to you that you're reacting really to that old thing than really to this current thing, right? There, like the saying is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. So if it's like crazy dramatic, there's probably something in your past that is making you react to that way. And that's pretty much with everything, right? Like any big thing, little thing, like we react because of our perceptions and past experiences. Like what are we, except for just like what we've been through and what we know. You know what I mean? But I was having a overreaction to my guy not being as responsive or available, and I started to think about the guy that I dated right when I got into ACA, the last guy I like dated seriously, and he treated me terribly. He basically cheated a bunch, then blamed me, then told me. I have so much shame around this. I'm going to be really vague because I've been told he tends to listen and watch all of my stuff and then gaslights me about it. I haven't seen him in a very long time, but it was like a jump in head first type of relationship, whirlwind, not slow at all. I think that's why I'm really grateful for the slowness. Even though I'm very uncomfortable with the slowness of this new thing, I'm grateful for it because past experience has shown me when you rush in and like have this in a whirlwind thing, it usually dies pretty quickly and abruptly. But this guy, we were dating. It was he just slept with a bunch of people when I was, thinking that we were on the same page with how we felt. And then he gaslit me into believing that that was my fault. And then that I had made up the relationship and that he never felt that way about me. And then gaslit me into being his friend. And I have so much shame around it because like I was an active participant in this. It's not that like I can't be like he made me do this, but like I was, spiritually sick, and like now I look back, like I'm like I was like that's all I knew was just like don't abandon me. Whatever I have to do. Okay, fine. You don't want to be my boyfriend. Fine. You just want to be my friend. Oh, you want to be my friend while you're with the girl you cheated on me with. That's fine as long as you don't leave me. Just don't leave me. And there's so much shame around that. And I'm in the amends process in my program. And like my very first amends I make is to myself. And it's a living amends, meaning like I won't do that anymore. So when you know better, you do better. And this guy's not in my life anymore. Last time I saw him, he definitely yelled at me about stuff that I talked about when I was on Dash Radio, when I talked about him, and I was just like, what is happening? Why are you listening to my shows? Like if I'm that unimportant to you and you've never had feelings for me or care about me, why the fuck are you listening to my podcast and radio show? But I didn't realize like I have no feelings for this dude at all. Like I don't have any feelings like in terms like if I saw him in the street, I'd hug him and say hi. I'm not angry. I'm not anything, right? So I haven't thought about him in so long. But when my new dude wasn't responding to me, I was like, I'm having a big reaction, like a real big reaction that like has nothing to do with my fella now. Like nothing to like he told me why he's not being very available. He's just thoroughly busy. That makes me sound like I don't need to get into all the details about his own personal life, but like I know intellectually why he hasn't been that available. But emotionally, I was having this insane reaction. So I called my mentor sponsor and was like, this is what's happening. And she was like, let's work through the trigger. And I thought I'd walk away afterwards feeling much better. And I didn't. It sucked. But now it's been a week of processing and I have let go of this trigger. It's wild. So if you have something that, if you're, I'm just, this is my, this, I feel like every time I do these things, I'm like giving away this woman's like, her wisdom, but I guess somebody else gave it to her and somebody else gave it to her. You know what I mean? So like the trigger. So what you do is you sit down and you write out everything that happened, everything, and how you felt, exactly how you felt at the time. And then you feel those feelings, like really feel those shitty feelings. Like I felt abandoned, neglected, unimportant, not enough, unworthy, undeserving, like all that shit feelings. I wrote for like 15 pages about this guy's, our entire relationship, right? And I felt all the feelings. And then you write how you should have been treated had it been with a healthy person. Like what would have been the way you should have been treated. And yes, this guy should have not been with me. This guy should have broken up with me. I'm not saying I shouldn't have been treated like he should have treated, like he should have, but the way he did everything was just so ugly. And then you write out what you wanted, how you should have been treated, how you deserve to be treated in that moment. And then you feel those feelings. And like the feelings were still sad because he still would have broken up with me and he still wouldn't have wanted to be with me, but it would have been in a more healthy manner, right? In a healthy way of just like, this isn't working out for me. You're a great girl. And I wrote all that down. And then you're supposed to feel that. And then when you feel nice and shitty, you do something to support yourself and love yourself. I talked about the happy list a bunch. You do some, I did. I planted three little pots full of flowers: lilac, sunflowers, and daisies. I don't know. I'm told 3 to 6 weeks I will be seeing sprouts. I'm very impatient, as you know. I'm very, very impatient. I like to read the last chapter of every book. I want to know how the fuck my new thing's going to end. Like I need to know, but I'm learning patience and just be in the moment. So I planted these. Did that. It's like inner kid work. I did something fun with my kid, and then I baked brownies. And I felt bad. And it's okay to feel bad. And I felt sad the rest of the day. And then I talked to my guy that night about how I was feeling about where we were at in our thing. And then I felt bad the next day. And then the next day I started to feel a little bit better. And now it's been about a week and it's wild. I feel healed from that trigger. I feel healed. And so just fuck, man. If you're working on yourself and you're trying to rewire your brain or rewire your brain or stop the cycle of generational familial dysfunction, my fucking hat off to you. This work isn't easy. It's not for the weak. It's fucking hard. And it's just fucking hard, man. And I love that I have built in the last year, I have built a really solid foundation of self-love. And I think that's important. If you are trying to work through trauma and work through past stuff, I think it's important to build a really, really strong foundation of self-love and self-care before you do, because you're going to need to really be able to fall back on it. Like today when I felt, I felt bad. I feel bad. I'm showing up for myself with self-care and love. And so just like, I read an awesome tweet that said, it ran in my family until it ran into me. And that just feels so fucking good. It's my hat's off to you. I'm sending you a lot of love if you're working through this stuff, because I am too. And I do a lot of crying, a lot of baths, a lot of baking, and a lot of crying because it's self-care and just a lot of crying. But yeah. And then also I heard this cool thing the other day. So I'm doing a bunch of stuff right now that's just scaring the ever living shit out of me, right? Just like putting myself out there a whole lot. Ever living shit out of me. I'm going to do a bunch of it today. And I'm so scared, but I heard a really cool thing from someone that has helped me shift it a little bit. When I'm nervous and I feel those butterflies, it's not scary, because it's the butterflies in my stomach cheering me on. Because excited feeling and nervous feeling are the same feeling. It's the same chemical shit, but like if you can, it's just your perception of it. So I'm giving you that because somebody else gave it to me. Oh man, should we do a little poop scoop booty? We got through it. God, there was a half hour where I was like, I'm going to have to stop this episode. And I know I love you guys. A lot of people will message me and be like, it's okay if you can't do the whole episode. We get it. I love you guys. It's more for my own, like, I'm going to get through this. Cause like, I love doing this so much and I already can't do a lot of stuff right now. So this is my self-care, doing something I love very much. And I'm one lucky broad. Here we go. Before we go into the poop scoop, I am one lucky broad that I have a thing I get to do that lights me the fuck up, and that there are people that want to listen to this and it lights them the fuck up too. Like, how crazy is that? Like, I get to do something I love and other people listen to it and love it too. What? If you would have told 10-year-old Kim that, she would have slapped you across the face and called you, I don't know what that means. 10-year-old Kim probably wouldn't have done that. But like, what? So I'm one lucky broad. I get to do this thing every week that I just love so, so much. And it seems to be being received really well. So thank you. Thanks for sitting with me when I feel bad. And it's okay to not feel okay. You know, it's just okay. So you ready for a little poop scoop? I do keep toying with, oh, it's up here. I do keep toying with the idea of doing a theme song for the poop scoop, like how I sang the theme song for Crawl Space, which I still find very, very funny. Every time I listen to it with someone else, I'm like, oh yeah, I sang that. And they're like, yeah, we know that's you. It's obvious you sing your own theme song. If you don't sing your own theme song, or you've never tried to sing your own theme song, I highly recommend it. It brings a lot of joy into your life. So I think I'm going to sing my own poop scoop song. I just have to write it out first. So I have a lot of poop scoop entries, and my one buddy Roger Powell has entered a lot of them. I mean, like probably 15, and he says he's got more coming. So he's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, and the fact that he has labeled this, he has an outline for me. He's labeled every one of them. And they're very funny. In fact, this one, I didn't text myself. I put it up on my computer because he actually gave me visual aids. Sorry, I couldn't think of he gave me visual aids. So I will post them on my Instagram if you want to know what. Okay. And I've never read this before. So this is your poop scoop. This is from Roger Powell, one of my best friends in the whole world. You know those people in your life? Fuck, guys, I got a lot of really cool people in my life. And I'm only halfway done. I mean, fingers crossed. I hope I live, to 98. So I have a little less than halfway done. But like, I already have some of the coolest people in my whole life in my life now. It's so exciting. All right, you ready? This one's called Berwyn House. I love that he labeled them. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Right after college, my buddy Corey and I, hold on, I got to breathe. I don't want to ruin this by being out of breath. Right after college, my buddy Corey and I, Corey's awesome, and I went back to our old school to go bar hopping with some gals who were a year or two younger than us. After last call, we went back to the girls' apartment to smoke some weed and drink a few more. When it was time to go, I said my goodbyes and headed to the car. Corey drove that night and was lollygagging. So I was waiting in his car, lollygagging. That's when I realized that the poop train was chugging along and I could not stop it. My options were limited. The poop train was chugging along. We've all been there, where it's like I'm drinking apple cider vinegar every morning. It's disgusting, but I'm trying to like get myself to poop regularly. And I am pooping regularly now, but it's like a full on emergency every single time. I was on the phone with a girlfriend the other day. We were FaceTiming and we were talking about something really serious. And I was trying to get through it. And I was like, I'm going to shit my pants. I'll call you back in 4 minutes. I'm like, don't worry. It's like a real quick poop. It's like quick, one and done. It's done in like 2.5 minutes. So I'll call you right back. And she was like very alarmed. She's been friends with me for 20 years. So she wasn't really that alarmed. So that's when I realized the poop train was chugging along and I could not stop it. My options were limited. We're back at Roger's story. Sorry, I interrupted. My options were limited. Option 1, try to get back on the elevator, make it to the 9th floor, burst into the apartment of the girl who I had a crush on. She is in 2 poop stories. Yes! Then destroy her bathroom. So that's option number 1. I don't know if I do that option. You know what I mean? You really like somebody. You just can't destroy someone's bathroom early on. I mean, eventually, I guess you can. You don't ever really want to, but like, we're humans and humans are disgusting. But yeah, option 1 does not sound like an option to me. He said option 2, poop in the nearest grassy area. I can't believe why my eyes are right now. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Poop in the nearest grassy area. Which one would you guys choose? I would choose the nearest grassy area. That's what I would poop in, right? It's dark. No one's around. Like, you're drunk. So it's like, whatever. Ooh, he chose option 2. Roger and I are very close. Oh, man. Crawl space. The theme song is happening right now. I forget to like sorry about that. I got distracted. But Roger and I are very similar, and he chose option 2, and I could not be happier. I guess either one, choose your own adventure, both would have been hilarious, but he decided to poop in the nearest grassy area. The only problem was option 2 was a grassy medium-like circle right in front of a 6-story apartment building, meaning if anyone walked out of the building, the first thing they would see was a circular driveway, then a drunk pooping black Indian dude. And those things are really lit up too, usually. Like those little mediums usually have like a big ass spotlight. Why don't you just poop in the street then, like in a dark area? I was squatting facing the entrance of the building, and to stabilize myself, I grabbed a handful of grass. When I was squatting facing, yeah, I guess you kind of want to be ready, but would you want to know? Yeah, I guess you'd want to know. You wouldn't want to. Yeah, you want to know. So you want to face the building. Okay. To stabilize myself, I grabbed a handful of grass. Luckily for me, it was like 3:30 in the morning. No one was expected to be awake. Unluckily for me, Corey, God, I love Corey, walked out and startled me. What are you doing? Can you imagine you walk out of the building and you see your friend sitting in this like grassy medium squatted down and he doesn't have his pants on? What are you doing? That's when the handful of grass I was grabbing onto gave way. I fell backwards into my own poop. No, no. Oh my God, I'm crying. Corey, of course, had a good laugh, but opened up his car and drove into the back. Wait. Corey, of course, had a good laugh, but opened up his car. Oh, and I drove back in the back seat, belly down, and passed out. Oh, and his whole back was covered in poop. It was actually Corey's father's car. Oh, no. The next day, I imagine that Corey's father knows Roger, though, so he probably wasn't, if he knew the story. Okay. The next day, Corey called me and told me that when he woke up that afternoon, his father said to him, "Son, the car smells like shit. Human shit, son." Son, the car smells like shit. Human shit, son. Corey had to get the car washed, but I think he would agree that it was worth it for the story. I mean, shit, he once sleepwalk peed in my walk-in closet, so I think we're cool. I mean, I don't know if that's even. Oh man, that is. All right, I will post on my Instagram. I will post on my Instagram this picture. I'm trying to figure out how I'll put it in so you know, in the picture that I post for today's episode. So I usually post like a selfie. I did my makeup kind of pretty today, so I'll be posting a selfie with my makeup. But I usually post that, but then I'll explain it because it is a really there is no spotlight. I don't see a spotlight, but those apartments are usually pretty well lit up in the city. So like, I don't even see. There used to be grass there. Oh my God. Thank you, Roger. Oh, it's such a perfect way to end. It's so good. It's so good. All right. Okay. That's your poop scoop. And if you want to send me your poop scoop story and you want me to read it on air, or you want to send me one lucky broad or just words of love, or you have questions about anything I've talked about today, like if you have questions about trauma or recovery or anything that I've gone through that you too can relate to, and you'd like direction pointed into some tools or a 12-step program, anything like that, just reach out to me, email me. I love the poop scoop stories, but I also love personal emails too. I really love them. At KymKralspace@gmail.com, KymKralspace@gmail.com. And if you get a second, if you could leave me a review and a rating, that would mean so much. And if you could subscribe, all that stuff, it just really helps getting the podcast in front of other humans. So I'm going to read this week's, every week I want to read, I just grabbed my boob for those of you watching on YouTube. I don't know why I did that. I just literally, I did it again. I like to read a review every week and just say thank you to all of you guys who are listening. It just means a whole bunch to me. And hopefully hearing a review will encourage you to write a review, because it just really helps the podcast grow and grow. And that's my goal. So this one comes from RDAR. Oh, I know who this is. Her name isn't her name on the thing, so I won't say her real name. But she wrote, best ever. Who wouldn't love this podcast? Kim is so candid and unapologetically honest. It's hilarious and also inspiring. This is my new favorite pod for sure. Love you, Kim. Oh my God, I love you too. This pod is like one of my, oh my God, I'm going to run out of battery on my Mac. I forgot to plug it in. So I guess we got like 9%. No one cares about this. I love her. I love her. I love her. God, I love women who support other women. Like those are the women I have in my life. I no longer have women in my life who talk shit about other, I just no longer. It's bye. Someone like you, Brad, to just have a lot of really supportive, really rad powerhouse women in my life. It's fucking cool. I'm one lucky broad. Guys, thank you so much. This is an episode. This is a good episode. I don't feel good today. And as always, this perked me right up and made my afternoon. So stay safe out there. Follow me on all the socials if you haven't already. A lot of fun stuff I hope is coming up. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.